You probably think you're doing a great job taking care of your dog, right? You feed them on time, take them on daily walks, even splurge on comfy beds and expensive toys. But have you ever stopped and looked into their eyes, really looked? Have you noticed how those eyes sometimes dim every time you raise your voice? Or how they silently shrink into a corner the moment you walk into the room, their tail no longer wagging, their head lowering like they're bracing for something? Maybe you don't mean to hurt them. In fact, most people don't. Most dog owners love their dogs deeply, and they try their best. But here's the painful truth. There are tiny, repeated actions we do every day that slowly leave invisible scars on our dog's heart. And the saddest part is this. Your dog will never forget, and they can't ever tell you. They can't say, "That scared me," or "Please don't do that again." All they can do is adapt, stay silent, and slowly change. In this video, we're going to uncover 10 common psychological wounds that many loving dog owners are unintentionally causing. These aren't the obvious abuses. These are the soft, silent moments that seem normal, even kind, but over time erode the deep trust and love your dog wants to give you, bit by bit. And more importantly, I'll show you how to begin making it right. How to rebuild that loving bond and become the person your dog always believed you were. 1. Mistake. Yelling and physical punishment. The first wound is what many people still believe is discipline. But in truth, it's one of the most damaging things you can do to a dog's spirit. Imagine being a child, trying to learn how the world works. You knock something over, or make a mess. Instead of guidance, you're yelled at. Not once, but every time. That's exactly how your dog feels when you shout. Or worse, use physical punishment. You don't need a hit to hurt. A raised voice, a hard stare, even your body posture can be enough to make their little heart shrink. Dogs don't learn like we do. When you yell, they don't think, "I made a mistake." They think, "I'm not safe." And fear is never the foundation of love. Studies show that dogs who are punished, especially physically, don't become more obedient. They become more anxious. Or worse, they shut down emotionally. They stop communicating. They stop trusting. They avoid you, not because they feel guilty, but because they're scared. Scared of your tone, your movements, your reactions. And that's not a relationship built on respect. That's survival. It becomes a world of walking on eggshells, where every raised hand or tense tone becomes a storm they learn to fear. You might not even realize the damage in the moment, because your dog still stays close, still looks at you. But the light in their eyes changes. Subtly, slowly, irreversibly, unless we choose to do better. 2. Mistake. Rubbing nose in accidents. If you've ever shoved your dog's nose into a mess they made, hoping to teach them a lesson, please stop. Dogs don't make that connection. They don't look at the mess and think, "That's my fault." They just feel humiliation, shame, pain, and the person they trust most suddenly becomes someone who frightens them. Instead, see mistakes as signals. Your dog isn't being bad. They're confused. They need clearer, calmer kinderguidance. Every mistake is a cry for help, not a chance to control. Take their paw, metaphorically, and show them the right way. With love. And most of all, with patience. Because every new lesson is an opportunity to build, not break, their trust in you. 3. Mistake. Isolation as punishment. Some people think it's harmless to leave a dog alone in a crate, a yard, or a room for hours when they misbehave. But to a dog, especially one who loves you, isolation isn't peace. It's punishment. Dogs are pack animals. They are biologically wired to seek closeness, connection, belonging. When you separate them from you, they don't just get bored. They get anxious. They feel abandoned. They may start licking themselves raw, crying, or tearing things apart. Not because they're acting out, but because they're emotionally unraveling. Imagine being locked in a room, hearing life go on outside without you, and not knowing why. That's how your dog feels every time they're banished. A dog doesn't need a mansion or a fancy setup. They need one simple thing: a space near you, a sense that they belong, that they're not forgotten. If you find yourself thinking, "I'm home, I just don't have time to play or talk," know this: emotional neglect is still neglect. You don't have to talk to them every minute, but make them feel like they matter. A simple look, a soft word, a scratch behind the ears. That's all it takes to say, I see you. I care. 4. Mistake. Punishing fear. And here's something else that breaks a dog's heart. Being punished for fear. Think about thunderstorms, fireworks, vacuum cleaners. If your dog hides, trembles, or runs away, and you respond with scolding or forced exposure, you're not helping them grow braver. You're telling them that their fear is wrong. You're teaching them that when they're scared, they're also alone. That's the worst message a dog can internalize. Because when fear is met with anger, it doesn't disappear, it deepens. When they look to you for comfort and receive anger, something breaks. Instead, be still. Be calm. Be there. Let your dog know that even in the scariest moments, you're their safe place. You're their shelter. That's how trust is built. Not through dominance, but through presence. And that presence becomes their anchor, their reassurance that the world isn't falling apart as long as you're near. 5. Mistake. Rushing walks. Most people think walks are for exercise. But to dogs, walks are for exploration, for expression, for joy. They don't walk to burn calories. They walk to smell, to investigate, to understand their world through scent. When you constantly tug the leash or rush them along, you're saying, your interests don't matter. And over time, that message sinks in. It chips away at the joy they once had, at the sense of freedom they looked forward to. Let them sniff. Let them wander. Let them be dogs. You walk to clear your mind. They sniff to soothe theirs. In fact, studies show that sniffing helps reduce stress in dogs, much like meditation does for us. So the next time you see them pause to smell a tree, a bush, or even the grass for longer than usual, consider that their way of reconnecting with the world and with peace. 6. Mistake. Dressing them up. Now let's look at the cute stuff. Costumes. Photos. Social media posts. You might love dressing your dog up in hats and hoodies. But do they love it? Really? Look at their body. Are they relaxed? Or frozen? Are their ears perked or flattened? Their eyes bright or dull? Many dogs hate being dressed up. They don't understand why you're smiling while they feel restricted, overheated, or humiliated. Some endure it quietly. But silence isn't consent. It's surrender. And repeated discomfort, even if it's just for fun, teaches them that their needs don't matter. That discomfort is normal. Your dog doesn't need to be your model. They just want to be themselves. Celebrate that. Let them be messy, natural, real. The dog you fell in love with isn't on camera. They're the one that licks your face in the morning, that follows you from room to room, that lays their head on your foot when you're sad. That's the dog that deserves your respect. 7. Mistake. Tension at home. And then there's tension at home. Arguments. Yelling. Slamming doors. You might think your dog doesn't understand. But they do. Not the words, but the energy, the volume, the atmosphere. Dogs are emotional mirrors. They reflect what they absorb. When your home is filled with stress, they carry that stress in their bodies. They may shake, hide, bark, or become withdrawn. They may develop behavioral issues not because they're bad, but because the emotional climate they live in is unhealthy. A peaceful home is the greatest gift you can give a dog. Not just toys, not just treats. Peace, softness, kindness. That's what they remember. That's what builds resilience. A home where they can exhale, where their heartbeat slows, where they don't have to wonder if today will be a good day or a bad one. 8. Mistake. Ignoring signs of illness. Now, let's talk about the wounds you can't see. Physical illness, pain, discomfort. Dogs don't announce when they're sick. They don't complain. They just slow down, withdraw, stop playing, eat less, sleep more, and hope you notice. But too often people don't. They assume he's just tired, or she's getting older, until it's too late, until the problem has grown, until the suffering has deepened. It takes awareness, and care, and choosing not to overlook the quiet moments. Your dog can't text you that their stomach hurts. They can't say, my leg aches. You have to watch. You have to care enough to see. Sometimes love means noticing the smallest change, and taking it seriously. Because behind every subtle behavior, there's a story, a signal, a hope that you're paying attention. 9. Mistake. Punishing growling. Let's revisit something else misunderstood. Growling. Many people punish dogs for growling. But growling isn't aggression. It's communication. It's your dog saying, I'm uncomfortable. Please stop. When we punish that, we don't stop the discomfort, we just silence the warning. And that's when bites happen. Not out of nowhere, but because we taught them that expressing discomfort isn't safe. We taught them to bottle it up until it explodes. Let your dog speak. Respect their boundaries. Help them feel safe, not suppressed. Teach your dog that their voice matters, that you're not just there to command, but to listen. 10. Mistake. Emotional inconsistency. There's one more invisible wound we need to talk about. Emotional inconsistency. One day you're cheerful, calling your dog with warmth and joy. The next, you're cold or too busy, brushing them off when they approach with wagging tails. This back and forth doesn't seem cruel on the surface, but to your dog, it's deeply confusing. Dogs thrive on patterns, on predictable love. When affection is offered one moment and withheld the next, they begin to question themselves. Did I do something wrong? Is it safe to approach? Will I be accepted or ignored today? This type of inconsistency causes insecurity. It creates a low-level anxiety in your dog's heart that never fully rests. They become overly clingy or strangely distant, not because they're moody, but because they're trying to protect their heart. When they don't know what version of you they'll meet, they start to play it safe by pulling back or overcompensating. So ask yourself, do you greet your dog with the same warmth each day? Do you make time for them even when your mood isn't perfect? Consistency isn't about being fake. It's about being reliably kind. You don't have to be enthusiastic every minute, but show up with presence, with softness, with a little stability. Because to your dog, emotional safety is just as important as physical care. And when they know your love is steady, they relax into it. They bloom in it. And they give you the most beautiful gift of all, unshakable trust. Conclusion, awareness, and healing. So, how many of these signs did you recognize in yourself? If it's more than a few, don't feel ashamed. Don't panic. Awareness is a gift. It's the beginning of healing. Your dog isn't looking for perfection. They're looking for connection, for presence, for someone who sees them, hears them, and adjusts. If this video helped you understand your dog a little better, please subscribe. Every week, we share insights that help you care more deeply, love more mindfully, and raise happier, more emotionally secure dogs. Share this with someone who loves their dog, because sometimes saving a little spark in their eyes starts with just one video. Thank you for listening, and thank you for choosing to love better.